Hello everyone, welcome back to Drawn by Annie channel. This is me, Annie, and I will be drawing for you today. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. As winter season is almost over, I've been doodling around here and there and I've been trying to think of an artwork to conclude this season sort of thing, but I couldn't really think of anything decent, so I'm just gonna work on some sketches today and I'm gonna practice my acrylic paint skills. And for today's sketching, I've chosen a character that I really enjoy playing in League of Legends, which is Seraphine. I'm not playing for a long time, but there are certain characters that caught my eye instantly as I started looking through a variety of champions that this game offers. And especially as a support main, there are a lot of champions that I really like the kit of, and also there are champions that I don't really like playing, but I really like how they look like, if that makes sense. And of course there are characters that I also like playing and I love their design, which apparently I already made a fan art of, or several of them perhaps. But there is always more to come, you know. Spoiler alert. But about that later in the next video. So if you want to see more fan arts of League of Legends, subscribe to this channel and look at this video. I mean, like this video. I kind of wanted to draw Seraphine for a long time at this point, but I wasn't sure which style would fit her the most because, as you can see, I have tried several combinations of proportions and eye, nose and lip styles, and I've been looking to find a perfect combination of those to fit my Seraphine portrait. And honestly, I didn't want to waste any of the sketches, so I decided to practice my acrylic paint skills as well as try different combinations of color application and slightly different color palettes. Like, you know, general idea is the same and general colors as well. Yeah, Sparrow. The only difference that I want to make in between those sketches is try out slightly different tints for the skin and see whichever looks better for Seraphine's design. Just the temperature alone of the skin color can actually define a lot of artwork mood. So here's the example. I tried to color the first portrait with a warm beige skin color and add a lot of pink brush to her cheeks and also make her makeup a little bit on a more pinkish color, and it instantly gives like a warm feeling, so you can kind of tell that the character is also a warm type, if that makes sense. What I also did with the first one is go for a thicker line art, and I've also only used like a round tip liner of a 0.8 thickness, so it's pretty thick, as I was looking to get this comic type look similar to the old superhero comics style. For some reason this type of line art gives me a little bit of a nostalgia feeling, even though I wasn't really into comics back then when I was a small kid, but still it's very definitive and it's thick, contrast and very intuitively understandable. So I decided I would go for it because I feel like Seraphine is also a very straight up character that wouldn't want to lie or, like, you know, play mind games, whatever. She seems very honest to me, even though she's presented as a pop star singer that is literally traveling on her little stage. And you wouldn't expect a celebrity to be very honest whenever, but for some reason for Seraphine I feel like it's not applicable and she is not playing a role but just being herself on a stage. So tools that give out honesty and shapes and colors and everything that give the same feeling are perfect tools for this character's fan art. At least that's what I feel like. I hope everything that I say makes sense because that's literally my feelings when I'm drawing this. I don't know how else to explain whatever is in my head right now other than this. Like, you can see how contrast the sketches are next to each other after I finish coloring all of them, especially. Like, number 1 is so much warmer than number 2 because I used a purple color to mark out the shadows and also do some underpainting, and as well as the main skin color is much paler, even though it's still on a warm side, but purple shadows make it look like it's less warm and even more pale on a contrast. And also face features on that sketch give away more like a mature face, if that makes sense, because the first one, as you can see, is a little more round and it has a bigger eyes, but the second one has more adultish face feature, if that makes sense. In my second attempt, I also tried to make her makeup with pencils and see how it will blend in or if it will look any good, and it actually looks very nice. That I really like how it turns out. It gives this little subtle feeling, but I felt like it wasn't enough, so maybe for another character I will actually use this technique, but for this one I think I'm just gonna paint it over with acrylic paint pen so that it will not look like out of place, you know. For second sketch I also went with the brush liner to make the line art. I wanted to try and give it a little more messier look than the first one, and also as the colors are not as contrast as in my first attempt, I thought that a thicker line art would give it more volume and more contrast, so I decided to stick with that. I like it. I like how it has its own charm, honestly. And by the time I was finished with the second one, I decided I would give another try with pencil blending on the third attempt, and I also wanted to go with slightly brighter and more saturated colors. So I went ahead and colored her skin with a very bright beige color and her hair with a bright pink color, much brighter than the first two. And then I wanted to try and experiment with the line art on this one, and I tried line arting everything with pencils only. So read the hair, the skin, the shading, everything is done with pencils. And honestly, I was skeptical in the beginning, but then it actually started to come up together as I was closing to finishing it, and I really liked how the final result looked on this one. The only thing where I wanted to add a little bit of liner line art is the eyelashes, just because. Honestly, it just looks better when I am doing the eyelashes with either brush liner or a liner. It looks like she has a big chunk of a makeup, like a mascara on her eyelashes, and I really like that look, especially for a character who is a pop star singer. So it just fits her perfectly, if you ask me. Even though in real life I'm not a big fan of a makeup, it can be completely different for fictional characters when it comes to opinions on stuff like makeup. On the very last sketch attempt, so number 4 portrait, I kind of wanted to mix and match all of the best combinations of the previous 3 ones that I really liked. So I tried mixing in less saturated overall color palette, but a little brighter color for the hair. Then during the line art part, I decided I would start with the thin liner and then add more volume as I go with the thicker liner, and mixed different mediums for shading. So some of the shadows are actually made with acrylic paints, especially on the hair and the darker part, and on a makeup part and lighter parts like skin, I made more shading with pencils. So this type of sketching and coloring sessions are very productive because not only you get to practice the proportions and different styles, but also the coloring is very different for each and every one of them, and you get to try and experiment different combinations and application order and stuff like that. Honestly, I think all artists should do something like this from time to time because it gives a lot of new information and you get to play around with creativity a lot, because sometimes you have a medium that you think you mastered out, but then you find like a new type of technique or new way of application or a completely new perspective on viewing things, and then suddenly it starts playing out with new colors even though the tints of the colors are the same. You know what I mean. So as for the last and the biggest portrait, I literally applied every technique that I tried out on the page next to this on my first attempts. So all of the applications and all of the techniques that I've tried out and I liked how they look, I applied to this final and the largest Seraphine portrait. So I'm starting with acrylic paint base for all the different elements of the character. So the hair, skin, eyes, and the makeup for the most part. Then gradually I start adding up more darker colors, so to define more volume with the shadows. So I'm marking out bigger chunks of shades with darker acrylic paint marker. Then gradually I'm mixing in other shades to give more of a purplish look. And after that I'm working on some shading on the skin and highlights on the hair. So for the shading on the skin I apply some of the colored pencils layers, so it has more of a soft edge, and also some of this nice pencil grainy texture. For highlights I don't do much, I just add a bunch of white lines here and there to make her hair shine literally like a metal. I really like to make a shiny hair like that, so I often do it even if it's a little bit of out of place. I don't care, I still do it because there is no one there to stop me. I'm trying to make it look a little less like metal by adding some tinted highlights next to the white part, and also adding some random purple shadows in the dark pink areas, so it gives a little bit less of a shinier look, but still on the highlighted areas it looks pretty highlighted anyway. But also with this highlight shade applications with different tints, it gives more of a realistic and variable look, and I really like that. It gives like a visual interest to the eye, you know? And my favorite and final part is the line art. So I decided I would go with my brush liner because the portrait itself is pretty big and I feel comfortable working on such a big canvas with a thick liner like that. It gives me a very nice variety of line thickness. So in some places where the shadow persists, I give more thicker lines, and in the highlighted areas, I give it a little thinner lines so it looks more lighter as well. And of course the eyelashes. Never forget the eyelashes. To finish it up, I'm adding some blue star shapes around Seraphine portraits everywhere because she has this little star sticker under her eye. So I'm adding this little missing element to all of the portraits as well. And with this, my work here is done. Swishing my black cape. Sailor Moon fans will know the meme. Anyway, I thank you very much for joining me on this sketchbook spread video. I hope you like my interpretation of Seraphine from League of Legends. If you like my work and you want to see more of it, I suggest you subscribe to this channel and check out my other videos and other social media, please. Check out my other social media as well. I'm trying my best to stay active everywhere, so your support means the world to me, and I thank you very much for all the comments and likes and all the support you already give to me. And I'm waiting you down in the comments with all of your opinions, suggestions, tips and requests. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!